Good morning, everyone. This is Bad Weather Freak here. I have another 2021 hurricane season. Thank you all for watching. I hope you're having a good day. It is August 25th, 2021, and it's roughly around 8:07 a.m. as the recording of this video. So I wanted to give you guys an update of what is going on so far. We had, of course, Tropical Storm Fred go through some of the states, dumping a lot of rain. Then we had kind of like some time where quietness, we could say. But now is that time of the year again where we're at the end of August, and it's time for the tropics to start picking up, unfortunately. And I'm going to show you a few charts and graphs that are going to show that. But let's move on and let's take a look at a couple things that are going to catch everybody's attention. But one in particular, let's put it that way, one in particular. But right now you're seeing the highlighted areas of the National Hurricane Center. These are areas of interest. If we go in the 5-day graph, you can see what the National Hurricane Center is saying. So we have one little wave here, only 30% chance of development. Is going to the middle of nowhere, so it's no concern for pretty much anybody, unless you're in a boat or maybe you're in a plane. You definitely might potentially want to avoid this area. But other than that, it's no threat to land. It's not threat to anybody. Then you guys are gonna notice this up here, which has a high percentage of formation, 80%. But again, it's the same thing, the middle of nowhere, no threat to land. Now the area that I want to point out, and we need to watch this very carefully, is this area here. This area, the National Hurricane Center is giving it 80% chance of development. Conditions are basically going to be conducive for development, and a tropical depression is likely to form late this week or over the weekend while the system moves west-northwestward to northwestward over the northwestern Caribbean Sea. The disturbance is expected to move across the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, off Mexico on Saturday. And then it continues to say, and move into the western Gulf of Mexico by Sunday, where conditions could be favorable for additional development to occur. Now, like I said, I'm going to show you a couple of charts, and you're going to see in forecasting models and why this is an area that we need to watch if you live anywhere in Central America to most likely Mexico or Texas to Louisiana. Let me just put it that way. Now, the reason why I say that is, let me show you. Let's take a look at tropical tidbits. Let's take a look at the radar imagery first. So when I looked at, you can see how it is located right now here, and you can see how it's flaring up. It is becoming or it is gaining a little bit of steam. That's why it has an 80% chance of rain. I mean, yeah, that might be something that happens too, but 80% chance of development. I'm sorry. Now the reason for that is, let me show you what the forecasting models are saying, and this is why the National Hurricane Center is giving it an 80% chance of development. Now let's switch this over to a different region so you can kind of see better. And now, according to the GFS, this is the U.S., the United States model, forecasting model. I'm going to move this to so right now, this is at 6 hours from now, okay? Pushing this over to roughly 54 hours out, you can kind of see how a depression or a low-level system is formed here. As I move to the future, it doesn't really interact much with the Yucatan Peninsula, which is not good because you guys remember and you guys know, land interaction is what weakens the storms. And that's what happened with Grace. If you remember last week, Grace went through here as a Category 3 hurricane, actually. Well, as a Category 1, it made landfall in Yucatan Peninsula, and when it re-emerged into the Gulf, it rapid intensified to a Category 3 and then made landfall in Mexico. Well, according to the GFS, and again, this is pretty far out, so this is going to change. But according to the GFS, it's completely missing the Yucatan Peninsula, which is not good for the United States. As I move forward, you can see here 108 hours out. 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. roughly. Now we have a hurricane here in the Gulf. As I keep moving forward or to the future, 964 pressure, 957. So this is actually a strong hurricane. This is a Category 3 hurricane at least. 947, 940, 947. So as it gets closer to making landfall, it starts weakening. So again, 940 millibar pressure. This is a strong hurricane. This is a Category 3 minimum. So is this gonna happen? Only time will tell. But again, one thing we know for sure, and it so far has happened this year, is that forecasting models are not that reliable. They have not been for the past probably 2 years. So right now, we need to pay close attention. The last thing that Louisiana needs is another hurricane making landfall there. Last year they had, I believe, 3, but they had five systems in total that make landfall, but 3 hurricanes. Again, this is going to change. Most likely it's going to change intensity. Most likely it's going to change the track. So I wouldn't get fixated on this. But and this is really bad too. Look at this here. As it makes landfall, roughly around 150 hours out, 106 hours later, 12 hours later, it's almost in the same spot. So most likely there's going to be a high pressure system here that is going to be blocking the storm to move any further, at least for some time. So if this system stays there for 12 hours, I mean, this is 18 hours. Look at that. 20 hours later, almost for 24 hours, you're just sitting in Louisiana. So again, this here, it may change, but if this happened, this is going to be a bad event for Louisiana. Let me just tell you. Having a strong Category 3 hurricane making landfall like that and stalling, this is a similar scenario like Harvey, unfortunately. So this is why we need to pay attention to what is happening with the storm. Now that is a GFS. Again, we cannot rely on just one model, but like I've said before, what we need to look for is agreement into the models, and that may point out to something may happen. Now let's take a look at the European model. So European model, let's go back again. Let's move this because it's too far back. Let's move it to right now. Same thing, a little bundle of energy here. So in this case, the European model has it. It has actually a very similar track as a GFS, 72 hours out. Again, shooting the gap, how they say, between Cuba and Yucatan Peninsula. So a very similar track. There you see it intensify more as it gets closer. Let's see. So this one has it, and it has it between the Louisiana and the Texas border. So a very, very similar landfall location. Fairly intense. I mean, you see how the darker the color and the more isobars that are closer together, that means it's actually stronger. So now this has it roughly 144 hours out. So a little bit sooner landfall. Not quite stalling. Well, yeah, actually you can see it kind of stalling. As you move forward, you see how it kind of moves over a few states, but it really just hangs around there and then it comes further south. So again, seems like the atmosphere is gonna be very strong. A high ridge is gonna be it seems like it's gonna be very strong up here and blocking this storm. So far, 2 models are showing that. Let's take one more. Let's take a look at the Canadian model. Now the Canadian model, let's take a look. So as we move forward, see the Canadian model has it a little bit further north, potentially interacting with Cuba, but it's the eastern part of Cuba, so there's not really a ton of mountains in there in the western part of Cuba to disrupt development. But again, 3 for 3, we can say 3 of the main models are saying shooting the gap pretty much, which means that it has more time to intensify. Now the Canadian model has a pretty strong hurricane also. Let's see, about a little sooner actually, August 30th. So this is in 5 days. 5 days around 2 a.m. Again, same thing. Landfall between Louisiana and Texas coast. Now let's see if this one. So this one actually shows the storm kind of dissipating, not really lingering around much, but it starts dissipating. It kind of gets blocked off too. So that's something, again, we have 3 of the main forecasting models that everybody uses, and all of them are saying in agreement that this is going to shoot the gap, have more time in water, and most likely we'll have a strong hurricane making landfall between Texas and Louisiana. Is this going to change? Very possible. But right now, this is what we have to work with, and right now everything is pointing out we are going to have a hurricane making landfall in either Texas or Louisiana. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few things. One, let's take a look at the heat content. This is the ocean heat content as updated as of today. So the brighter the color, that means the more heat content that the storms have to fuel themselves. And so you can see this is a hot spot. It usually is. Gulf, same thing. So a very good or very warm temperature, or not warm temperature, but I mean it's going to be. The Gulf always has really warm temperature, but the heat content is very good roughly in this area. Now keep in mind, Grace came through here, took advantage of this, made landfall in Yucatan, and it kind of emerged here at this very edge. So it didn't even go to this heat content area here, and it rapidly intensified into a category 3. So that means that this here is going to be even more fuel for the storms. The other thing I wanted to show you is, which is kind of odd. So red here means unfavorable conditions, yellow means neutral, and green means favorable. Okay, so that area that we're watching is supposed to come through here. So as soon as it comes through the gap here between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, we have favorable conditions, neutral, and then goes into favorable. Excuse me. And the area that is supposed to make landfall, conditions are favorable. So that's why it shows that it's going to continue to intensify until it makes landfall. Now let's take a look at another chart here. This is the MJO. This is the probabilities of favorable conditions, and this is by cycle. Right now we're on August 24th, which technically speaking, the Atlantic is not in favorable conditions. Right now the favorable conditions are in Africa and the Indian Ocean. So as we move forward into the future, probably around, so this is probably in, let's see, 3rd of September. So by next week, the Western Caribbean and the Gulf is going to be under favorable conditions. As we move forward into the future, this is what we need to keep an eye out, because for mid-September to late, probably around mid-September, which is the peak of the hurricane season, you see the green here, that means a favorable phase, let's put it that way. So we need to watch all those waves that come off the coast of Africa, because if they're running through favorable conditions, that's how they develop. So the third, basically towards the end of mid-September towards the end of September is going to be conditions, favorable conditions, and even sometime in October. So again, this is the peak of the season. This is the area that we watch. If you guys haven't checked out Track the Tropics, I highly recommend it. It's very, very good source of information here. Yeah, this one here doesn't tell me, didn't even allow the maximum potential hurricane intensity. But I definitely, if you guys want to check this out, I highly recommend it. Tons of information that the site has. But other than that, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I want to keep you guys posted as always. Make sure you were informed. Again, that's what we're watching for potential development. So keep an eye out so that way you stay safe and have make the right preparations. So this is another chart here. This is a tropical area, potential area of development here, and this is what we're watching. Again, this is the way the exact path that is gonna was forecasted to come through. Other than that, you guys have a good day. I hope everybody's doing well. One more time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for this, continue to get these updates. Put the comment in the comment section, any comments, any questions you may have. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with families and friends so they can also be prepared, especially if you are in the area of Texas or Louisiana. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. Have a good day and stay safe.